I feel like you're taking for granted how wild it is that John Mayer commented on your Instagram live and said, "Can I come over to your house? Like, can I come over?"
Now he's a real one. He's been a really awesome friend and mentor throughout all these years.
And then it's like 1 a.m. You're like, John's still here, you know. How you been? You been all right?
I've been good, man. Currently on tour right now, and that's been amazing. We played Massey Hall last night, and man, the energy was palpable.
It's a beautiful room, hey?
Man, a lot of history. I mean, one of my favorite albums, Neil Young, live at Massey Hall is. Oh,
get out of here! Come on,
that's my dude.
Don't worry about it. Have you met him?
Yeah, briefly. Yeah, we did. It was. I think it was a Willie Nelson tribute a few years back, and I was like, man, that's my hero right there.
My favorite thing about that Neil Young Live at Massey Hall record is he does Heart of Gold and Old Man, but they're new songs, so no one knows them.
Oh,
so he says, like, this is a new song I wrote about a guy at my ranch, and he plays Old Man.
That's
you love that record? I didn't know you liked that record. It's a great record, hey?
Man, yeah, it's I remember when I played it like for the first time in 2015. I was just like, oh, that's cool. Like Neil Young played here, you know.
What were you listening to growing up? Like, what music were you listening to?
Yeah, so I mean, I was like really into Genuine and Usher, and I used to try to like emulate Usher's dance moves like in the mirror, you know. And but yeah, my folks, like my father, like he listened to like Stevie Wonder, and my mother was into Sade, and so I mean, all that really kind of shaped the way I write, I guess.
I didn't know until I was getting ready for this interview that dance was such a big deal to you as a kid.
Yeah.
Talk to me about you and dance when you were how old when you started dancing?
Yeah, I was like maybe 12 years old. I remember like watching, it was like a Michael Jackson 40th anniversary thing. And I remember trying to like learn like the moonwalk and the glide and like a little bit of the waving. And I had like a school dance like the next day. And so I was like trying to bust out moves. But when I got to college, I started studying.
Hold on, how did that go? How did it go when you busted out the moves of the dance?
Yeah, I tried for a little bit, and then I just got like too chicken. You know,
yeah, I think I would do the same thing if I had to do the. Yeah, I understand. So you went to college, and what happened? You went.
Yeah, so I studied like a little bit of ballet and like jazz and modern dance for a second.
What did you like about it?
I saw it as an opportunity to, just to become like more diverse as a dancer. Like, you know, I wanted to be a choreographer, and it's like you can get more gigs if you kind of have like some of those styles under your belt.
Were you good?
I was good at like the hip hop thing, but I never really got that good at like ballet. That's like such a hard thing.
It's a whole other thing, you know. When I see it now, I'm just completely blown away by it. You know, I can't believe they can do it. The ballerinas, you know.
I mean, like getting on point and like, how in the hell do you do that?
I can do what position can I do, Cora? Fifth, fourth. I can do third position, I've been told. Yeah. I'll show it to you afterwards. You know, yeah. If the interview goes well, I'll show it to you. So, I mean, I was reading about because I think there's a lot of talk about your aesthetic and like the sort of 60s and 70s thing, but I didn't know until I was getting ready for this that actually comes from dance. Like that comes from a production you were doing.
Totally.
Can you tell that story?
Yeah. So we performed this like it was like a 70s theme. Dance, and so I had to go to the costume shop and like pull some clothes for that dance, and I ended up like after that was over like taking the stuff home and started incorporating it into my my style, and then like kind of subsequent to that one of my mom's friends like gave me some of his old clothes like when he was a teenager, and so that was like the genesis of the Leon swag.
Were you the only person in your around who was dressing like that?
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, growing up in Fort Worth, Texas, I don't think people like embrace like the whole individuality thing, and I was like the only one wearing high-waisted pants and and Stetsons and church shoes.
Could I ask you about about Coming Home? When you put that out on SoundCloud, this was late 2014. This is like, these kind of stories almost never happen anymore. So you put it on SoundCloud in 2014. Then what happens?
Man, then everything kind of started to snowball from there. Almost every like major record label wanted to sign me, and that was just like so surreal, because I remember when we wrapped up the session, I remember talking to my dude Austin. I was like, "Yeah, what are we gonna do with all this? Like, maybe we can like put it on burnt CDs and and pass around at the club,
But then they reach out.
Yeah, Columbia Records always resonated with me. I mean, going in there and just like seeing like the pictures of Bob Dylan like on the walls, like I was like, yeah, I want to leave my own legacy, and I know it's going to take a lot of hard work, but I felt like Columbia was always the right fit.
Were you working at the time? Like, did you have a job when all this was happening?
Yeah, I was I was working at this place called Del Frisco's Grill. Still washing dishes. I would clock out, and my homeboy Austin Jenkins would pick me up, and we go to the studio, cut a song or two, and go home.
When are you able to quit?
Yeah, I quit like right around that time. I remember telling like letting my chef know, like, oh yeah, I just got signed, to Columbia Records, and so, I need to get put in my 2 weeks notice. And he didn't believe me, at the time, but he saw me when he saw me on Jimmy Fallon, like he was like, oh, okay. He wasn't lying.
He wasn't lying. He wasn't making it up. So how do I ask this now? What's amazing? That's around the time I met you. It was shortly after that, right?
Mm-hmm.
And Coming Home goes platinum. It's nominated for a Grammy for Best R&B Album. You're like a shyer person. For people who are listening on the radio, he's nodding his head vigorously. That's all right. It's for the video too. I get it. What's it like for a shy? I don't know if you're going to have an answer to this, but what's it like for a shy person to get all this recognition and all this attention?
Yeah, that's something I've always kind of struggled with, is like being like in the limelight, kind of having like a microscope on like everything you do, and there's times where I desire to just to go back to that simpler life of just washing dishes, but I think I've gotten pretty good at like navigating through all this, like being a super introvert,
Yeah, that's on Simplify on this record. There's a song kind of about that.
Totally.
Like I want to go back to that. I'm glad you got that perspective on it now. What was it like back then? Like, what was it like back then when you first got all that attention? And
when you take someone with like insecurities and like throw them on a big stage, like it's kind of hard to deal with, but I'm really grateful that I had a solid group of friends around me that just kind of helped me work through all that.
I know what you mean. I mean, like, I feel like I'm like that outside of here. You know what I mean? Like, I found like this is a place where I can do this thing, and then outside of this, when I'm at like parties, I can't do this thing. And I feel like with a lot of people, it's like on the stage when you're a musician, you're not shy at all. You're good. You're happy. You know.
Yeah.
But then you get out of there, and it's all.
When I'm performing, like that's like the easiest part of the process.
Yeah. Yeah. There's none of that when you're performing. You know.
You know, and I think like having like a background in dance like helped me face my fears as far as like performing like on a stage.
Oh, did you have stage fright?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I still get anxiety, you know, before performing, you know.
Yeah, I think if you don't, though, there's something wrong with you.
Yeah. It means you care.
Yeah,
you know?
It means you care is right. Can you tell me about playing for the Obamas? I watched the video before he came in.
Yeah.
You went to the White House and performed for the Obamas.
Yeah, I did the. I mean, that was cool. They always did these like soul tributes, and when I performed, it was a Ray Charles tribute, and I remember being so nervous. But I mean, when I got up there, like everything just clicked, you know. And my friend Danny Clinch, who's like a really awesome photographer, he got this like shot of as soon as I finished my performance, I was like, "Thank you, Mr. President." Boom, and he snapped it, and I got that thing like hanging up on the wall and at the crib, you know.
I heard he gave you some advice.
Yeah, he said, always keep your sound raw.
That's what the president said?
Yeah.
What does that mean?
Man.
Or like, what did you take from it? Maybe is the better question. Yeah.
I mean, I think it's something that, you know, I'm still kind of maintaining, you know, in the music. Is you know, I always want to push the envelope, but like, you know, always keep those organic sounds and always, you know, keep that honesty and transparency in the music.
Can we play one of the songs on the record? Gabby, can we play God Loves Everyone?
God sees all the folks on their own. God knows what it's like to be cold in the winners and losers and player and fool for the game.
It's a beautiful song.
Thank you.
And it feels like it feels like that organic sound, and it feels like those are real instruments. It feels like you're really. So I really love that song. That's from the album Leon. That's my guest Leon Bridges' song. God Loves Everyone. Can you tell me a little bit about that song and where that song came from?
Yeah, man. You know, it transpired from me and my friend Ian Fitchuk just kind of reflecting on just like our experience like growing up in a church, and you know, I wanted to kind of paint this picture of like, you know, that divine love, you know, that's like similar to the love of a mother, you know, who loves her children with no strings attached, and you know, paint that picture of just like of God's love being unconditional. And you know, I mean, the church has always had you know, a big impact on my music, and so, you know, I always try to tap back in, you know.
Yeah.
Again.
You had a lot of church music growing up.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing. Like, you know, Texas is like deemed like the Bible Belt, you know, and so like that's the thing to do, especially in Black culture. Is, you know, you go to church every Sunday, you know, and but I mean, when I got older, I kind of started to pursue like my own relationship with God for myself, and which is why a lot of songs like God Loves Everyone and like River, there's always a spiritual undertone in like, you know, my music.
I know what you mean. It's a funny thing that happens. Hey, like I grew up like you, going to mass. I'm Catholic, right? So going to mass every Sunday. You know, very like interested in the church, and then went through a period of my life in my 20s, in my early 30s, where like I had no interest and like very, very little. And then you sort of realize you can come back to God, and you can come back to spirituality, and you can come back to faith without having to go back to like the rituals and the rooms and the buildings.
Totally.
You know what I mean by that? Yeah,
totally. Yeah. I mean, I haven't, you know, been to church in forever, you know, but you know, I still try to hold on to those values, and I don't know, it's like the more you climb the ladder and like kind of navigate this thing, you see a lot of stuff that's just like disheartening, and so it always, pushes me closer to God,
Yeah, just to say it back to you to make sure I understand it, like when you're going through what we were talking about earlier of like, you're a shy kid and you're getting all this attention, as you climb the ladder of success, there's a lot of bad stuff you see and a lot of pretty ruthless people and pretty rough people and people who are going to take advantage of people. And that kind of pushes you back towards something a bit more core, right?
Yeah. And it's, I mean, keeping your morals intact it's just good for longevity,
Yeah.
in life.
yeah. Keep you happier longer anyway.
Totally.
Listen, I appreciate all the introspection. Can I ask you a very simple question? We don't know a whole lot about Fort Worth. I've never been to Fort Worth. Cora, our producer's never been to Fort Worth. I got a couple of questions about Fort Worth because it shows up a lot on this record. That's What I Love, Panther City. Panther City is Fort Worth?
Yeah. It's like Fort Worth's moniker kind of came from, like, back in the 1800s. There was a guy from Dallas who was visiting Fort Worth, and he said Fort Worth was so sleepy, like you could see a panther just chilling on the streets.
Good. So hold on. So answer me this. Number one, what's so great about Fort Worth?
Fort Worth is my place of refuge. I love that. There's nothing more I look forward to than like finishing a tour and getting back home to Fort Worth, sleeping in my own bed, being around people who like love me for who I am. And it's, Fort Worth is cool. It's got this small town, big city feel. And the people are very like salt of the earth. And that's like really refreshing,
I only know it through I know it through Tans Van Zandt. He was from Fort Worth, right?
Totally.
Yeah.
That's my dude. I got him tatted on me.
Really?
Yeah.
What do you have a favorite song by him?
Oh man. Maybe Why She's Acting That Way.
Oh yeah, good song.
Yeah.
Good song. I like Two Hands. You know that tune? I got two hands.
I don't think I know that one.
It's an old gospel song he wrote.
Oh wow.
I'll show it to you afterwards. It's a great old song. All right, so question 2 about Fort Worth. I know Fort Worth because of Dallas Fort Worth. Mm-hmm. What happens? How do you feel if someone says you're from Dallas?
Yeah, there's definitely a distinction. Dallas. Dallas. I mean, Fort Worth is overshadowed by Dallas a lot. But Fort Worth has its own identity. I think Dallas, they aspire to be like L.A. and New York, and it's a little bit pretentious, but I still like it. There's like, there's still good people out there, and I actually go out there a lot. I mean, it's like a little bit more of a nightlife there.
A little less sleepy.
Yeah.
But you don't mind when people say, like, would you be offended if someone said you were from Dallas?
I would, low-key.
You know what? I'll note it here. You mentioned that it's your like home base, because I'm sure you've been tempted to move to L.A. and New York and Nashville and this, have you?
Man,
like people have offered it to you, I'm sure.
Yeah, totally. I never really had a desire to live anywhere else. And I think for me, it's like important to be close to family. I love that I can like still hit some of those old stomping grounds, like, just for the nostalgia and, all that stuff is like, kind of gives me a peace of mind.
Well, when I was listening to that Simplify song on this record, I was wondering whether like Fort Worth is the answer to all those things that you want. Like if you, not to read your mind too much, but if you wish you could go back to the days of being a dishwasher, if you could wish you could go back to a simpler life where the microscope wasn't on you, you can kind of get that in, you know what I mean? In Fort Worth.
Yeah, it's great. I can, when I'm there, I can let my hair down, and it's cool, like, to be deemed as like the hometown hero, but still people there still respect like my space and privacy and all that kind of stuff, so. You
can eat outside?
Yeah.
I always just think about that line in Stand by Eminem where he gets mad about,
Yeah.
Remember that line? And he's like, I'm trying to eat with my family.
Yeah.
Blah, 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 blah.
You kind of got to, set those boundaries, but yeah, I guess you know, the fans might perceive it as like, oh, he's being rude. But, you know, my whole thing is like, if I'm sitting down eating with the fam, like, I probably can't get up and take a picture, but like, I'll take one after on the way out.
You're not Leon then. You're not Leon then. I want to talk about When a Man Cries. The great story about this one. Can you tell me that story about like, was it an Instagram live and John Mayer? What happened?
So I was doing this session with some homies at this little Airbnb, and I went on Instagram live while we were jamming, and John Mayer was like, "Where y'all at? I'm gonna pull up." I was like, no way.
Like he commented?
Yeah. And he came through with his like rig and guitar, and like we jammed for hours. And that like Inside Friend transpired from that, and then John Mayer like invited me to his studio, and that's when we kind of started to work on When a Man Cries, and just kind of put it on the back burner. And when I was kind of shaping this album, I was like, no, this needs to be the opening track. And ended up being on the album, which is great.
I feel like you're taking for granted how wild it is that John Mayer commented on your Instagram live and said, "Can I come over to your house? Like, can I come over?"
Now he's a real one. He's been a really awesome friend and mentor throughout all these years.
And then it's like 1 a.m. You're like, John's still here,
we were jamming for hours. Like, I mean, we could have went like the whole night and into the next day,
What do? Do you order a pizza then when he comes over?
Yeah, my tour manager Trey, he was like on the grill,
Oh, okay. Because if it was me, I'd be self-conscious about what I was going to order in front of John Mayer.
Right.
Like, that's right. If someone was cooking for me, I'd feel a little bit better about it. How about we listen to that song, Gabby?
Turn my pain into power, my fear to desire. Fall apart when I try to be strong. Gotta learn how to cry.
So that's When a Man Cries off Leon Bridges' album, Leon. This song is just, it's sort of symbolic of a bunch of stuff that's on the record. That's about mental health, about sort of vulnerability. I can tell you, and there's a lot of conversations about this happening politically right now, but like at least I'm feeling it personally. Like a lot of my friends who are men aren't talking about their struggles, aren't talking to somebody, aren't raising their hand and saying, I need help. Some of my friends are drinking too much because of it. Some of my friends are doing drugs too much because of it. Some of my friends are dying because of it, and it's a real problem. So I was really struck by this When a Man Cries song. Can you tell me a little bit about it?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. A lot of this, from my experience, like in the Black community, like, we don't have and for men, like we don't have a space to really express our emotions, and with out of fear of being deemed as like weak, and with this song I wanted to show like there's bravery in that vulnerability, and I like the tears falling, just kind of represents just letting go,
Being able to like unselfconsciously just let, when you start crying, all of a sudden you're letting everything out. You're not putting up those walls anymore.
Yeah, and I don't think like people like really write about that kind of this that kind of thing, and I hope it's like healing to for men out there.
Yeah. I mean, it sounds like, I've never heard you write like this before either, man.
Man, it's in that session with Mayer, like it started out as like from an angle like this, of a kind of romantic vibe, and you know, just kind of like I felt like, you know, changing the concept would be, you know, a little bit more powerful.
Yeah, as opposed to being like another love song, to be about something more powerful than that. Well, listen, this is great. You played Massey Hall last night.
Mm-hmm.
You're playing again tonight.
Mm-hmm.
Very exciting. Great hall. And then I was looking at your website. In November, you're playing a hometown show.
Yeah,
in Fort Worth.
Yeah,
not in Dallas.
Right. Yeah. Shout out to Dickey's Arena, and I mean, I haven't played a hometown show since my breakout.
No, really?
Yeah.
In like a decade?
Yeah.
Leon, how are you feeling about it? Are you?
Yeah, it's really significant, you know, like to think about, you know, just some of those open mics and places that I would frequent, you know, doing that to fast forward, you know, playing, you know, to 13,000 people, and it's really cool that, like, you know, my hometown loves me so much that they, you know, sold the thing out, you know.
Good. I was wondering whether you were going to say scary. Like, it's scary to play in front of my hometown. But it's nice. You're like honored. It's, you know, yeah.
No, I think I'm nervous too. I mean, because like all my family and, like, you know, all my friends are coming through. So a lot of people that haven't really seen me perform, you know. But.
Man, I got to tell you, this is like my third or fourth time talking to you. You and I sort of started at the same time in these jobs, and I've never seen you on this record sound more like yourself and really feel like you found in yourself and really comfortable with yourself. And I think you made a great record.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for coming in. Hey,
thanks for having me, bro.
That was my conversation with Leon Bridges. His latest album, Leon, is out now.